Well, welcome, Sylvia, to the 91 Invest Like a Woman seminar. Very excited to have you here.
Thank you, Maya. It's lovely to be here.
One of the reasons I'm quite excited to have you here today is that you and I have known each other for years, and we often have these discussions about women and money and managing money. And of course, you've written this great book, Smart Woman, which I think I've just written the foreword for, this updated
Yes,
book.
you did.
I
You
did.
did,
I really
yes.
enjoy the book. I think I get such little nuggets of wisdom from it. So thank you for that. Now, obviously, in my intro, I spoke about the difference between men and women and risk. But from your perspective, is there really a difference between men and women? And what is that difference when it comes to money?
Thanks, Maya. Yeah, money knows no gender. So the way we interact with money and our relationship with money shouldn't be different whether we're a man or whether we're a woman. But the problem comes in that women have specific issues that relate to them when it comes to money. There's specific aspects that impact more on women. The big one, of course, is the gender pay gap. So women earn less than men on average at all levels. And it's particularly bad in the middle and the lower incomes. It's worse. The less women earn, the greater that pay gap.
It's a big problem. I mean, we saw those surveys coming out, 30% less women earn on average.
So that's significant. Women have less money to do something with, to empower themselves with at the end of the day. That's the one aspect. Women too often take time out to raise families, so they will earn fewer salaries than their male counterparts. When divorce happens, for instance, there's many, many women that are single parents. They're left taking care of the families, taking care of the children. And then, of course, women often use their money to help other people. We give away, we nurture, we care. So we end up using our money to help others and to support other people, which leaves us very vulnerable at the end of the day and actually can leave us quite frustrated and angry because our needs are not met.
That's such a true point. And I come across so many women who put their own retirement needs second to their children's, especially their children. With something about kids, they'll go out and they'll buy something for their child, but they sacrifice for themselves. And I
Yes.
think that that's a very important thing to understand about us as women. And maybe we need to be looking at that. So we must put the oxygen mask on ourselves before we help other people, because we're the
Absolutely.
ones who need to stay strong.
Absolutely.
And Sylvia, we always use this term empowering women. But of course, what we mean is power. That women
Yes.
need power.
Yeah.
And what does financial power look like for a woman? What does that mean?
It's different things to different people. So I remember vividly meeting a woman many years ago who told me she's financially empowered because she pays for her own hairdressing appointments and her own cell phone account. That was her idea of being financially empowered. But really, being empowered or owning your power, your financial power, is owning your money, making decisions around your money, and using your money to create security for yourself as a woman. That's as simple as it is. Life, I always say that life, we travel the road of life, and money is the bedrock. It's the foundation upon which we travel. And getting your money right means that you can cope with life no matter what life throws at you. We all know, I love to say to people, think of when you were 20 and think of life now. How different hasn't your life been? And when those curveballs come and when those crises hit, if your finances are in order, if you've got that stability, you can cope. So really empowering yourself is making sure that you've got that stability as you travel the road of life.
And I think COVID was the big wake up for all of us, wasn't
Yeah,
it? We're always
absolutely.
talking about have the emergency fund, have the liquidity,
Yes,
have it there.
yes.
But, taking control of your money it's such an amazing feeling that you know where your money's going, that you can make choices and decisions rather than just putting your head in the sand. That's a very unempowering feeling. But I was just laughing when you spoke about the woman with her cell phone and hair. And I was actually sitting at a dinner party once. And of course, the minute they know that you write about money, everyone wants to tell you their money stories.
Yeah.
And this woman was saying to me that, her husband's self-employed, has a business. She's a stay-at-home mom. And she said, but my husband lets me manage all the money. So I run the household budgets, I do all this and that. So I said to her, okay, but where's the real money? And she said to me, what do you mean? So I said, where are the investments? Where's the wealth creation? Are you investing the money? Is he investing the money? She was like, I don't know. And I said, he's self-employed. What happens if something happens to him? She had no idea. And I said, that's the part that I think a lot of women miss. They think, well, because I get to manage the day-to-day budget, that's empowering. But really, it's the big money. And do you think that to some extent we unwittingly give away our financial power.
I think we do without realizing it. And the other thing that we do often as women too, which you also know, is that women will spend their money on the household expenses and the man will spend his money, or the male partner, on the assets, on the cars, the boats, the policies, the stuff. And that can leave her very vulnerable at the end of the relationship with little to show. We do give away our power, I think, often without realizing it. We give it perhaps to our partners, we give it to our family members who put the guilt trip on us to support them. We even give it away to our creditors, if we've got too much debt. So my money's not mine. I need to pay everybody else first before I can take care of myself. And often that giving away of that power is not something you think about. You don't really realize it. And it's formed. We have money personalities that are formed by many things, not least of which what we see as we grow up. So if you grew up in a household where perhaps your mother was a stay-at-home mom and the father worked and supplied everything financially, maybe that's how you think life is. Conversely, if your mother was, employed and had a career and was independent, you might mold yourself on that. And I always think often I'm reminded of the trigger for me that actually really was very powerful. And I'm lucky I remember it. Many people don't remember the triggers. I was about 10 years old and we moved into a suburb where in those years there were no cell phones. You had a home landline. It was a new suburb, so there was no landlines yet installed in the suburb. And we had what was called a ticky box, a call box down the road.
I remember that.
The ticky boxes, yeah.
Long before cell phones, people.
So anyway, my mother was pregnant at the time with my brother, and my stepfather, before he left for work, took 5 cents and put it on the bedside table and said to my mother, "This is in case you need to phone me if there's an emergency today." So she had 5 cents to walk to the call box to phone him. And I stood there at 10 years old and I thought to myself, I will never ever allow somebody to tell me, here's 5 cents in case you need to make a phone call. It just, that was a trigger, a massive trigger. So those things are all formed as we grow up and you don't always realize it.
Such an interesting story and so important to go back and say, why is it that I feel this way?
Yeah.
And Sylvia, to what extent do you think there's also personality in this? And I'll tell you, we grew up in a household also where money was an issue, right? My dad controlled the money, but there was never enough money. So we grew up with this sort of money as a way of controlling.
Yeah.
And my sister and I were having a discussion about exactly the same moment and experience that we'd shared. And my reaction to that was similar to yours. Mine was, I will never allow this to happen to me. I will always be in charge of my money and control my money. My sister's reaction was, I will never say no to my children, because she had felt deprived. So, same money story, same environment, different outcome.
Yeah.
So what do you think is behind these mindsets? How do we go back and change our mindsets? I don't know.
I think, this is a huge area that one can discuss at length, but I think it needs some introspection. So you need to go back and think of your childhood. What did you see? What was taught to you about money? Was money a dirty word? Was it something that wasn't discussed? Was it used, as you say, for power? Was it used as a reward? So, how was money used in your childhood? And often when you have a partner, understand how money was used in their childhood, because that's where the worlds collide. We also see things from our peers, and as we grow up and we're influenced. So there's a number of factors that actually come to play that result in how we view money and how we interact with money. And you can't actually, I think it's very difficult to define. As I say, it's a series of events.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also people are scared. And why are you afraid to take control of your money? What is underlying that fear?
Yeah. I think, sometimes we think we I must say we're stupid, but, money is confusing. I entered the financial services industry many years ago, straight out of UCT. It took me, I'm not lying, 6 months to fully understand the conversations happening around me. But we might think when we have enough money, we will do something about it. We will take control, or
one day win. The worst statement you can ever make.
So there's those kind of somebody else knows better. I trust somebody else. So there are a lot of self-limiting beliefs that one has, perhaps, that actually prevents you from taking ownership. You just hand it over, and somebody else will worry about it.
And I think that is true. So I do find that, I think for all of us, if you're afraid of something, it's just easier to ignore it, because if you face it, you have to do something about it. So not opening the bills, leaving it to your partner, it doesn't require action from you. And you talk about, in your book, creating a designer life as opposed to having designer things. And for me, I love that because it kind of reframed this whole thing away from deprivation. Because I always feel like when you talk about budgets, I'm being depriving myself.
Yeah.
I deserve it, doll. I just deserve it, and I'm going to spend it. So how do we change that mindset away from that I'm not denying myself, I'm actually building a designer life?
Yeah, very interesting, because we live in a society where society defines success. We've given this picture. So it's the good job, it's the good car, it's the good clothing, the good schooling, the good suburb. All of this stuff is good holidays, is success. And that is the problem that we're competing with. I saw something a while ago on social media that, gee, it like really jarred me. This young lady posted a photograph of her first car. So it was a car with a big ribbon, the big red bow that they do, and there she was posing, and everybody was like, wow, great, lovely. But it was a luxury vehicle. So I don't know much about car prices, but I reckon it was at least a 400,000 to 500,000 rand car with a ribbon around. Her first car. All I could see was
debt.
Years and years of debt.
All I can see is balloon payments.
Yeah.
They're going to be paying us off for 10 years.
But that's what we are told is success, is that, the picture. So creating your designer life, again, is stepping back and saying, what is important to me? What do I value? What is the life that I would like to live? Do I value myself, firstly? Because as women, we often sell ourselves short. I'm just a this, I'm just a that, I'm not good enough, Value yourself, the role you play in your community, the role you play in your business, the role you play in your household. Value yourself. Very, very important is live the life you can afford. Now, they're simple words, but there's a huge lot behind that. Don't incur debt. Cut your coat according to your cloth. I always get that wrong, but live the life that you can afford. Another part of creating your designer life is learning to say no. We have so many people competing for our money. And who's winning at the end of the day? I always say to people, close to payday, everyone's lining up. They're all lining up and they've got their hands open for a slice of your pie. Put yourself in the front of that queue firstly, but say no to other people. Many of us have got that family member or that friend, they run out of money a few days before payday. And you get that, that WhatsApp, can you lend me a couple of $100? Start saying no. Start setting those boundaries. So it's really about taking ownership and taking control. And the important thing in life, when we come to happiness, we always talk about happiness. That's another huge area. Memories create happiness, not money. So we think by shopping, by chasing the bargains, by doing retail therapy, by rushing around, by posting, look at what I've got. Doesn't make you any happier. It's a hollow feeling at the end of the day. So it's about memories.
In fact, what's so interesting with that is that psychologists have actually now proven that we get the dopamine high in anticipation of the purchase. Once we own it, the dopamine high drops. So we actually land up needing to do it again and again. So it's not owning something, it's the thought of owning it. So maybe what that lady with the bow on the car should have done is just kept looking at gorgeous cars and thinking about owning them, but never actually executing on it and saying, that 500,000 rand, or that 10,000 rand a month
car
installment, I'll
yes.
invest it.
Maya, apparently that goes back to our caveman days. This is what I've read and understood, is when we were hunting, to catch that big animal. It's the same thing. We're hunting for the bargain. We're out there, we're competing.
Yes.
And then, as you say, then you get that high and then boom.
Maybe we should be hunting for the best investment, Sylvia. So let's end off with some key action points. What are the 5 things that a woman should be doing to claim her financial power?
So a number of things, I think. I think the first thing is to understand money versus wealth. So you think if you earn a lot of money, you own your money, you own your financial power. And you know that you can earn 10,000 Rand a month and be owning your financial power. And somebody else can earn 100,000 Rand a month and have nothing. So it's really understanding the difference. Money is just cash flow, but wealth, building wealth long term, is investing, is using your money more productively. So understand the difference between the two.
I always think the more you earn, the more debt you can take on. So
absolutely.
It's actually often counterproductive.
You know what, it was Bob Hope, I think, that said, in order for a bank to lend you money, you first got to prove that you don't need it.
Yes,
I think it was Bob Hope that said that. So,
exactly.
yeah. So understand the difference between money and wealth. It's not the same thing. You need to use your money to build wealth. Why do we need to build wealth? For security, as simple as it is. And we haven't even really spoken about retirement, but I mean, everybody should have a retirement plan. Everybody, male, female, doesn't matter who you are, because you need to have that security in old age.
There is going to come one day where you don't want to keep working.
Well,
Trust
you can't.
me.
I mean, working life has to end at some point. Even if it's 80, it has to end. Okay, number 2 is face your realities. So look at your situation carefully. I'd like to say take a helicopter view. Look at how you're using your money. Are you using it just to pay for the household expenses and actually not doing anything else with it? Are you using it just to service that line of creditors on payday that are queuing up? How are you using it? Or are you actually using your money productively to be investing for yourself? So very important is to face your realities. And I think often when it comes to reality, we sometimes like to put our head in the sand, as you say, not open those envelopes, but then you actually just become a victim of circumstance. So it's about empowering yourself. No one's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. Number 3 is draw up a plan. Boring old financial plan. I mean, we speak about it all the time. But why do you need it? If you want to get somewhere, if I decide I want to go on a cruise in a year's time, how am I going to get there unless I put a plan in place?
Well, or pull out the credit card, which is the wrong way to do it.
Yes,
Just by the way, that wasn't advice.
But I'm saying, so any goal in life, you want to lose weight, whatever you want to do, you need to put a plan in place. Get advice from a professional if you need to. Maybe your plan entails first getting rid of some debt, and then you can start investing. But put that plan in place. Also get into the habit of paying yourself first.
Okay,
So
big one.
So on
Big
payday,
one.
when they're all queuing up here for their slice of your pie with their hands open, put Sylvia in the front. I put myself in the front of the queue. You do it through a debit order, if you can do it a stop order on your salary. And those people that work for companies where there's a pension fund, that is the ultimate pay yourself first, because they're taking the money before it's even hit your bank account.
You don't even know. You're just used to living on what comes on after that.
Yeah. So draw up a plan. And also, I think, understand your why. I always say if you understand your why, you will find your how. If you know why you're doing something, you'll keep motivated and you'll stay motivated.
Exactly. Have a picture on the fridge.
The picture on the fridge or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or that cruise in a year's time. Manage your money levers. Very important. People generally will say, I have no money to invest. It's simple. Life is expensive. Everything's going up. But as we discussed the other day, things have always gone up for people. You still need to find that money to invest. So if money is tight, there are only 2 things you can do with money, 2 levers. You can either cut your costs, so spend less, or you can increase your income, up the lever. If you need to spend less, you need to go and scrutinize your budget and see where you can cut, because investing for your future is a priority. It is as important as buying groceries as far as I'm concerned. You have to do both.
Well, you have to invest to be able to still buy groceries
In
one
the future.
day. I think that's
Because, it's all about balance. So balancing your needs of today with your needs of tomorrow. The other, as I say, the one is to actually cut costs. The other lever you can pull is to increase your income, get a side hustle, generate some more money. But you have to either way be able to satisfy both of those, today's needs as well as tomorrow's needs. And then lastly, be realistic. We have this, we live in this era of instantaneous world. So building wealth takes time. It's as simple as it is. And I don't even want to mention some of the harebrained schemes that have been around over the past few years. I mean, I see them and then people run off and the proponents of those harebrained schemes point fingers at the financial services industry because they're stupid and they don't know what they're doing. And the world is crumbling. There's a lot of that out there. So be very, very careful who you take advice from.
There's always a secret that the wealthy people are not letting you in.
Yes.
And this is the secret.
Yes,
so guys, please just be
absolutely.
very aware that when you're being told that there's a great secret to making lots of money, there's a big secret. It's called time and compounding. That's the secret.
And the point is, those people with this great secret, why don't they just keep quiet and make money themselves? Why do they have to sell it to other people? So be very careful who you take advice from and be realistic. And just build your wealth over time. As you say, it takes time. Make sure that you get right advice, because I sometimes see clients new clients will come to me and they are invested in the most dreadful of funds. And I just, monitor things, make sure you have those annual reviews, make sure you check up to see that you're on track. And that's the way to do it.
Well, thank you, Sylvia. And I think that, for me, the bottom line is, if you want to build wealth, if you want to be financially healthy, like anything in life, it requires commitment, it requires some work. You can't just pull out a magic wand. So I think, Sylvia, thank you for those tips, and hopefully they'll give you all a little bit of motivation and somewhere to start.
Thank you very much, Maya. It's been great fun.